As always, this episode has been sponsored and brought to you by The Gaming Gibbon. Oh, yes, check them out, gaminggibbon.co.uk.
We bring iron and we bring death!
Right then. So next we've got all the assembled but unpainted things, right? So we've got two rhinos, both Mars and Deimos pattern. We've got a Legion Basilisk, which, yes, is just a regular Imperial Guard Basilisk. It'll be tarted up to look like one, right? Just bear with me. Leviathan Dreadnought, 3D printed model, didn't have enough bits for all sorts of different things. Like, I was waiting on the shoulder connectors for what felt like a lifetime. I think it took a year for my friend to finally 3D print those and send those. But converting things like a heavy flamer to go on one side and the Volkite Culverin on the other, I think it's the Culverin. Um, it's the business at the end of the day, and it was a free gift, so why not? Um, Contempt of Dreadnought's both official kit and 3D print, which is becoming a bit of a kit bash. And again, just legionary models that, functionally, there's nothing wrong with them. I mean, okay, there's an argument to be made against certain patterns of bolter being used, but I, I'll be honest with you, as much as I love the Mark III kit, the Mark III Phobos pattern bolter is just ugly. You will notice that the two vent holes at the front of the barrel, they're still there on the new kit, but they look nothing. They are receded back into the actual body of the gun itself because it looks ugly. Because it pokes out too much and it looks ugly. I don't know why they were so adamant they were going to stick with that design, but they did. So I've got some legionary bits that are going on. I've got things like the odd legionary that's got like a Mark II helmet that's a 3D print off eBay and a melter gun, not part of a squad, but is part of this kind of hodgepodge of 40k to 30k bits, as it were. I did actually get a Mark Six sprue, 10 guys and the upgrade frame. I think it was my birthday a few years back. It was when the Age of Darkness set came out, and I kid you not, on eBay, the sprue of 10 bidding started at like £1. It started at $1 because there was so much in the market. It was such a good time for getting Mark Six if you couldn't afford like the actual box. So even I, a person that owns nothing Horus Heresy, right? Even I have a sprue of the Mark Six. So I've got 10 guys in Corvus armor. Converted this guy up to be some kind of chosen with a combi weapon, same as this guy. Ultimately, they've got to change because I'm not happy with them. As you can see, I've not even bothered finish painting them. So, yeah, it's little things. Things like this. This guy, when I first got the Mark III Marines, he was my very first attempt at making a sergeant, and I went completely overboard with the power hammer, which looks like he's handing it to someone. Terrible conversion. Ultimately, it's why I never finished him, I think. The combi bolter melter gun is fine. It's just, yeah, not quite. Things just don't quite add up for him. And then there's just been little things over the years. Like, I picked up this guy on eBay. He was marked as like a sorcerer or whatever. It's clearly the Sons of Horus Legionary Command figure for. He's meant to be holding like an axe. He stands with the banner. I want to say just a command sergeant or something like that, or he might even be a champion for the Sons of Horus. But Mark IV armor through and through. He's an easy paint job. I'm guessing maybe Thousand Sons player originally, but repaint him, maybe even strip him and repaint him. Job done. So in terms of things that I've been slowly working through and assembling, lots to see, but also things that either need changing, need physically pulling apart, or accepting that they're going to be in 40k, unless I then do a melter gun unit, in which case they are 30k, or, just, yeah. But we've got one more round to go. So finally, this is the stuff that's yet to be assembled, as well as all the bits that I have searched through. I spent a good few hours this week just going through my bits boxes for my Space Marines, pulling out helmets, heads, shoulder pads, some unique little bits that I wanted to keep off to the side. Swords, power swords, axes, chain axes, vehicle bits, bodies, legs, torsos, the works, right? Most of it is 40k stuff, right? Like some of it, like these legs, it's the Mark 7 Aquila armor type stuff, or Maximus armor, Imperator armor, whatever it's called. Not really suitable for Horus Heresy. A lot of Black Templar stuff in here for my Black Templars. So not all of it is appropriate, but it is all the Space Marine stuff in 3 trays, right? And what this means is I've got everything near enough that I think I'm ever going to need to actually do this, and actually do this as well as I can at this point in time. This is more Chaos Space Marine bits, so Chaos bolt guns, Chaos power claws and things, and the backpacks, which are quite nice, quite retro. So I've sorted through all my bits, I've sorted through all my leftover kits and things that are still on sprues. I technically also have, if I pull this out, this little tub is full of Terminator bits, right? It's full of the Indomitus style, it is Indomitus style, pattern Terminator armor, as well as a lot of these 3D printed torsos and legs of the Cataphracti pattern Terminator armor. That's a little rough. They need some tender loving care. They need sorting out. I forgot to take him out. But it's a mixed tub, right, of Terminator bits for the most part. So one model's not appropriate, so sue me, right? So Terminators, of course, Typhon Siege tank, wonderful present off my friend Matouche. Shout out to the Space Wolves. For the pure sake of that's got to be made at some point. That is the gem in the army. I am kind of butthurt looking at the rules that this is a Lord of War choice. I don't see how 2 las cannons, one on either side, a tank that's got, admittedly, a wonderful cannon, right, but has got at most a las cannon on either sponsor and a multi-melter, how that somehow one gun makes it a Lord of War choice. But then I've not played the game, so I don't know. Maybe it is as good as a Primarch. Maybe it's not. Who knows? But kind of butthurt. I figured it would at most just be a very expensive Land Raider, considering it's based off of that chassis. But then on this side, from Wish, I bought this forever ago. This is something the regular YouTubers never talk about. This guy is a Chinese recast Primus Medicae, which you can't get now from Games Workshop. You can't get from Forge World. You can't get from any of their various subsidiaries. I want to say it was an event exclusive, but I don't think it was. But I know it's the Primus Medicae. He's in the Cataphracti pattern Terminator armor, and it's a complete recast, and it's from China. So, wish me luck with that. This is, for the most part, either complete sprues or things that have had 1 or 2 things taken off. So in the case of this Chaplain and Cataphracti Captain sprue, I took the Chaplain weapon off because I used that for a Black Templar Chaplain. That's the only bit that's come off. So the rest of it can theoretically be assembled as is or with minor changes. If you guys haven't guessed by now, my guys aren't going to be like the giant supersized 30 millimeter heroic scale that GW pushes these days. My guys are the more traditional 28 millimeter heroic scale, the short guys, right? The short kings, because that's what Horus Heresy is. It's the classic stuff, right? So I've got, of course, the Corvus Mark 6 armor in there, which are, admittedly, they are taller. But I've got them, so I'm going to use them. I don't know what for, but I've got them. This is the last box of Horus Heresy Mark III Iron Armor Space Marines that I own, when they used to sell this, and one box of 10 guys cost £30. And then they combined it so you could get 20 guys for 50 or £55, one or the other. And then they got rid of it completely and replaced it, and they were wrong to do that. So there is a part of me that will always agonize over this, and the fact that this is one of the last ones I've got. You will see in my past videos about my Iron Warriors, this is kind of a big thing, and I don't want to see it go. But I've got 8 guys left on the frame in there, and then I've got a few sprues in here that are kind of jumbled about a bit. It's all a bit of a mess at the moment. You'll have to forgive me. But then, you can see there are backpacks and things on here. I've got more of the iron armor. I've got more than 8. I just don't know fully because I've not really had a chance to go through and sort it. But then at the same time, with other bits, I've got things like, the cataphractite terminators. I've just got a sprue that's nothing but lightning claws, chain fists, a power sword, which is nice, and a heavy flamer if I ever decide to use that, right? So yeah, it's a mixed box of all the things that are technically Horus Heresy. Like, this was the weapon, one of the weapon frames from the Contemptor kit that I had, and it's just a case of going through, using bits for conversions where appropriate, and the rest will one day eventually end up in some bits lot on eBay, I imagine. There's some Mark 6 Corvus armor Marines. So I've got a lot. I've got a good, I think this is the whole thing about getting into the Horus Heresy. As starting places go, yeah, I ain't gonna struggle, right? But it comes down to how I do this and how I build the units. Because this is, let's be brutally honest, this is the historicals of Warhammer gaming, right? This is the, you didn't paint your brass buttons on your Napoleonic line infantry the right colour, so it's not good enough, right? It's Horus Heresy. There are certain rules and strict things that you have to adhere to in order for it to make sense. I'm not about to throw a load of Primaris Marines or Age of Sigmar stuff in here, right? You ain't going to see any Stormcast Eternals that I've tried to convert as like a Primaris Praetor, right? It's all 30k kits and 40k kits that have been, retroactively converted to look 30k, as well as recasts, 3D printed parts, basically whatever I can get my dirty hands on. And that will be my foray into the Horus Heresy. So it's a lot. It's a lot to take in for one video. If you've made it this far, I do appreciate it. And as a sneak peek, I will show you what comes next, because you deserve it, right? So, these 13 Space Marines are the last remnants of when I got into 40k all those years ago, back in, what was it, like 2020? When I would buy models off eBay and strip the paint off them and convert them with whatever rubbish I had lying around, desperately trying to make a 40k force. These are the last remnants of that. There are bits here from gifts, people 3D printing me stuff for my birthday and sending it to me. There's stuff here, metal bits off of job lots. There's even attempts here at one point in my 40k journey, the Iron Warriors Army Log. I even started making a video where I was like, just assemble your models. Don't worry about unit function, don't worry about battlefield role, just assemble them. Just make cool models and paint cool models, and you can figure it all out when you actually list building, because what matters is the model at the end of the day, right? So these bad boys are the final remnants of that. And these, I mean, look at this poor guy. He doesn't even have a head or arms. He's missing one of his stabilization jets from his backpack, right? These bad boys are going to be turned brutally through spare bits, through chopping knives, through violence. These guys will be turned into Mark V Heresy armor era Chaos Space Marines, traitor legionaries, right? They will be the bolter boy squad that exist to die in droves and carry the Iron Warrior shrapnel bolters. if I can get these guys to a unit of 20, I will. But I'm not going to worry about that for right now. I'm going to focus on getting 5 done because I need to, A, disassemble them as inspired by Tom's Hobby Adventures when he did his 40k to 30k World Eaters. And just like Tom, I need to take them apart. I need to strip them down. I mean, the 3D printed ones, I'm just going to snap bits off and see what happens. But I need to convert them. I need to customize them. The nice thing, the good news about Chaos Space Marines, that one's a poor example. The good news about Chaos Space Marines is some of them have the exposed power cabling already. So you've already got a good sort of head start. But a lot of them have spikes and rivets and all sorts of details that don't necessarily fit and need to either come off or be replaced with the molecular bonding studs that the Space Marines used with Mark V Heresy armor. Because this is the thing, the Horus Heresy is about a Legion v Legion conflict that up until this point in the Warhammer canon had never happened. You didn't have Space Marine armies fighting Space Marine armies until the Horus Heresy. And one of the wonderful bits of lore that I saw online as I was sort of looking up kind of like conversions and things like that is the Marines at some point or other just started adding random bits of whatever they had to their armor to try and combat whatever the other Marines from the other force would use to try and kill them. And I think there's something so wonderfully robust about that. I'm going to use bits that normally I don't get a chance to use, or I just stick in a box and say, oh, I'll get round to it at some point. I'm going to adapt things, I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to breathe life into these models, and I'm going to have a big blob of 20 of them with shrapnel bolters that are just there to soak up wounds and exist, because that's what the Horus Heresy is all about. So, thank you all for watching, boys and girls. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. There is a lot that I have planned in mind for this force, and I hope you will follow along with me. All right, thank you, and goodbye.
gaminggibbon.co.uk. Link in the description box down below. A fantastic brand new company providing paint, tools, scenic basing and crafts for all of your hobby needs right here in the UK. Check out the website and get a 10% off discount code when you sign up to the website. Oh yes, they have all the big name brands from the Army Painter, MIG Paints, Gamer Grass, Geek Gaming Scenics, Green Stuff World and of course Tamiya. So head on over, tell them that James Hall of JH Miniatures sent you. Oh yes.